The movie revolves around Tsukiko Izumikawa, a high school student with a passion for photography as she's faced with the impossible return of her dead sister. In the opening scene, Tsukiko, who's a devoted member of her school's photography club, begins her day by stepping beneath a large construction building. Alongside her best friend Yoshi, she clicks photos of the towering structure. By chance, they cross paths with Tsukiko's older stepsister Tomi, who also attends the same school. Tomi is in the company of Toshio, a judo practitioner at their school and the object of Tsukiko's secret affection. The sight of her sister and Toshio together fills Tsukiko with a deep-seated jealousy. Seizing the moment, Tsukiko offers the capture of Tomi's image under the vast construction site. As Tomi models, Tsukiko clicks away, capturing a stream of candid shots. Suddenly, disaster strikes. A massive steel cross from the construction site falls, severing Tomi's neck and jabbing her. The gruesome sight leaves everyone terrified, and Tsukiko's camera slips from her hands, snapping photographs of the lifeless Tomi, whose eyes flared red as she stares at Tsukiko. A year passes, and Tsukiko continues to be haunted by Tomi's death, her dream filled with the horrifying memories of that day. On Tomi's birthday, Tsukiko and her parents hold a small remembrance ceremony, cutting a cake in Tomi's honor. Shortly after, Yoshi calls Tsukiko with a request to photograph Toshio. However, before she can respond, Tsukiko hears a knock on the door. The person outside introduces herself as Tomi. Shocked, Tsukiko rushes to inform her parents. Initially, her father dismisses it as a tasteless prank, but upon opening the door, he finds Tomi standing there. Overwhelmed with joy, her parents embrace the returned Tomi, while Tsukiko stands frozen in disbelief. Tomi, however, seems different. She's colder, more antagonistic, particularly towards Tsukiko. Her first request upon her mysterious return from death is food. She dismisses her own birthday cake as unsatisfactory, demanding her parents to cook a more elaborate meal. Spotting the memorial photo of herself, a photograph taken by Tsukiko on the day she died, she shatters the frame, asserting with icy certainty that she is not dead. In the stillness of the night, Tsukiko takes a towel and dry cloth to Tomi, who's enjoying a bath. Peeking at Tomi's body, she searches for any trace of the scar from the accident, but Tomi's hair hides it. Suddenly, Tomi invites Tsukiko to join her in the bath, just like when they were little. She giggles at the strange idea, her laughter echoing eerily in the bathroom. The following morning, Tsukiko enters the dining room to a strange sight. Her father's holding Tomi's hair, sniffing and even licking it. Confused and disturbed, Tsukiko begins to protest, but her father sharply criticizes her for not embarrassing Tomi's return. Later, Tsukiko discovers her mother burning her cherished photo collection. Her mother explains it was Tomi's wish. Tomi enters the room and a fight over one of the photos ensues. Tsukiko pushes Tomi, who hits the wall. Furious, their fathers, only Tomi's biological father, reacts strongly. He slaps Tsukiko, but Tomi says it's not enough and suggests a copper wire punishment. As if under a spell, their father agrees, repeatedly whipping Tsukiko while her mother holds her down. Still aching from the beating, Tsukiko retreats to the bathtub to soothe her pain. Unexpectedly, Tomi slips into the bath alongside her. Tsukiko confesses her guilt, telling Tomi that she should have been the one to die that fateful day. As the lights flicker, Tomi leans in, planting a kiss on Tsukiko's lips. Tsukiko pushes her away, prompting Tomi to reveal that she knows about Tsukiko's secret crush on Toshio and her jealousy. In a chilling revelation, Tomi brushes her hair aside, revealing the scar from the accident that had supposedly killed her. A tongue protrudes from the scar, followed by a grotesque talking growth. Terrified, Tsukiko pushes Tomi away and runs to her parents. Yet, her pleas for help fall on deaf ears. They refuse to believe her, dismissing Tomi as a monster. Her father, once again under Tomi's mysterious control, slaps Tsukiko and demands that she apologize to her sister for her disrespectful behavior. In a surprising turn of events, Tomi declares she had no longer wished to live in the house. She searches through her mother's purse, grabbing cash, preparing to leave. Her father pleads with her, desperate for her to stay. As she laughs at the family, ridiculing them for believing she's their daughter, she heads to the door. Suddenly, her father, fueled by anger and confusion, stabs her in the back multiple times, killing her. The family then sets about the gruesome task of dismembering the body, as her father confesses that an unknown force drove him to the act. With no one paying attention, Tomi's eyes move fixated on Tsukiko. Her mother then stabs Tomi's severed head repeatedly before tossing it in a bin in the house. The family awakens the next day, extended in the hallway, drained from the nightmarish event. As Tsukiko gets ready for school, her mother packs her lunch. In a horrific accident, her mother drops a lump of flesh into the lunchbox. At school, the day takes another odd twist when the teacher introduces a new student named Tomi. Tsukiko recognizes her sister, though the other students appear unaware of her. During lunch, Tsukiko confides in Yoshi about the new student's weird resemblance to Tomi. Yoshi brushes it off, believing it to be a mere coincidence. Opening her lunchbox, Tsukiko recoils in horror at the sight of tiny versions of Tomi's head. She quickly reopens the box, only to find even more miniature heads. Panicked, Tsukiko races outside, throwing the lunchbox into a trash bin. Yoshi comes looking for Tsukiko. Confused by her sudden disappearance during lunch, she hears a strange sound coming from the trash and investigates. The sight of the lunchbox filled with multiple faces of Tomi sends her into a shock. As she tries to run, the miniature faces' long tongues shoot out, wrapping around her, choking her until her life fades away. At home, the parents dispose of the mutilated remains of Tomi's body, leaving only her head in the bin. When Tomi's father is alone, the head comes to life. She promises to help him rid the house of his wife and Tsukiko, who she claims has been mocking him. However, she first needs him to help to reclaim her body. Though her father initially thinks he's imagining things, Tomi convinces him that she needs to feed on a family member in order to rebuild her body. Eventually, she persuades him to consider a chilling proposition: killing his wife. Back at school, Tsukiko's long-standing crush, Toshio, approaches her. He gently asks her about her ongoing grief for her sister, leading to an open and comforting conversation. This interaction lifts Tsukiko's spirits, and she's pleased to see Toshio finally warming up to her. He mentions the conversation Yoshi had initiated the previous day, asking Tsukiko to photograph the judo team. She happily agrees and captures some fantastic images of the team in action. Unexpectedly, Tomi arrives in the practice room, challenging the boys to a match. As she wants to join the team, Toshio's stunned to see her alive, but she acts as if he's a stranger. The coach selects a team member to battle with her. To everyone's surprise, she effortlessly defeats him. Toshio questions her about her return, but she brushes him off, knocking him to the floor and kissing him. Tsukiko watches, jealousy flaring within her. After school, she confronts the new Tomi, demanding to know her true identity. When Tomi remains silent, Tsukiko warns her to stay away from Toshio. The new Tomi dismisses her, stating that she's not interested in immature boys, and walks away. Later, as Tsukiko secretly follows Tomi on her way home, she witnesses her meeting with an older man, seemingly her new boyfriend. When Tsukiko returns home, she finds her mother absent. Her father casually explains that she's out. He then goes to the talking head of Tomi, offering it the meal she had requested on her resurrection day. However, the head rejects the meal, stating her preferences have now changed. It instructs him to bring her the mother's tongue, revealing an unsettling growth underneath the head. Her father proceeds to their bedroom, complying without question. We discover the gruesome truth: he has murdered their mother. He brutally cuts out her tongue to satisfy the head's horrific demand. The following day, Toshio distances himself from Tsukiko, choosing instead to walk hand in hand with the new Tomi. Heartbroken, Tsukiko flees, finding comfort in the photo lab where she develops pictures. To her surprise, Yoshi appears, despite Tsukiko being unaware of her death. Yoshi reveals a terrifying tumor, identical to the one Tomi had, complete with a twisted talking tongue. Terrified, Tsukiko watches as Yoshi confesses her love and the monstrous tumor tries to kiss her. Escaping the horror, Tsukiko barges into a room where the judo team is gathered. She inquires about Toshio's whereabouts and learns that he's with Tomi in the art room. The boys express a sudden, disturbing urge to kill, revealing they too are under some sort of possession. Yoshi then enters the room asking the team about Tsukiko. The boys spot the talking tumor claiming to be Tomi. It instructs them to cut Yoshi's head, the tumor hosting face. Despite Yoshi's protests that the tumor is the enemy, the boys, seemingly under some sort of control, seize her. As they approach with a large pair of scissors, the room fills with tension. In another part of the school, Tsukiko steps into the art room, catching sight of a horrifying scene. Toshio stabbing Tomi again and again, laughter ringing out maniacally from his lips, as if he's possessed. Tsukiko yells his name, snapping him out of the daze. Instant regret washes over him as he takes in the sight of Tomi's lifeless body, lying in a puddle of her own blood. Suddenly, the pool of blood begins to swell and take shape, forming a new version of Tomi. This bloodborne Tomi leans in to kiss Toshio, leaving Tsukiko frozen in horror. Simultaneously, the judo boys are in a state of utter confusion, struggling to distinguish between the talking tumor and Yoshi's head. Both entities claim to be a real head. Pressured and terrified, the boys decide to cut off Yoshi's head, killing her in the process. But the nightmare doesn't end there. Yoshi's decapitated body stands upright, now controlled by the monstrous tumor that has assumed the place of her head. Laughing mockingly, the creature charges out of the room, the terrified judo boys in hot pursuit. Back in the art room, bloodborne Tomi and Toshio are lost in a passionate embrace. Unaware of Tsukiko's presence, consumed with rage, Tsukiko attacks Toshio, stabbing him repeatedly. She then plunges her weapon into bloodborne Tomi's face, causing her to explode in a shower of blood. Exhausted, Tsukiko breathes a sigh of relief, thinking her horror is over. However, her relief is short-lived as Yoshi's headless body reappears, giving chase around the school. Tsukiko stumbles upon the lifeless bodies of the judo boys, but overcome with terror, she can barely register their deaths. Escaping upstairs, she locks herself in a room. For a brief moment, she feels safe until she spots the severed head of Tomi in a bin. Shockingly, it's the same bin from home. And the head has sprouted a pair of hairy legs. Instead of a torso, there are miniature heads dangling from the hair. Tsukiko recoils, only to be further shocked by the appearance of another Tomi from a locker, dripping with blood and slime. The headless Yoshi also enters, joining forces with the other two monstrous entities to surround Tsukiko. With a cry of absolute terror, Tsukiko watches as the bin-bound head of Tomi lunges to kiss her. Suddenly, Tsukiko finds herself waking up in the comfort of her own bed. The realization that all the terrifying events she had gone through were nothing more than a dream brings a moment of relief. Sitting down with her parents at the breakfast table, she discovers that she's their only child. As she goes through old family photos, she realizes Tomi is absent from all of them. She can't help but giggle at her own foolishness, having believed that the nightmarish dream was real. Just as she's starting to adjust to this new seemingly normal reality, her father begins to eat clumps of hair off his plate, a disturbing sight that sends a wave of fear through Tsukiko. She tries to run to her mother for safety, only to find her mom also turned into a monstrous creature with her head grotesquely twisted upside down. Lunging at Tsukiko with a knife, her monstrous parents pin her down and drag her to the living room, where a towering head of Tomi sits, a figure they refer to as the real Tomi. The colossal head of Tomi faces on their backs. One of these grotesque creatures attacks her father, ending his life. Her monstrous mother too is attacked by another centipede while trying to kill Tsukiko, who seizes the chance to escape. She bolts towards the stairs, only to find Toshio waiting for her. Toshio tries to push her down, but Tsukiko, fueled by a surge of adrenaline, manages to push him off the stairs. where he's devoured by the swarm of insects. Out of nowhere, Yoshi appears with a similar intent to harm Tsukiko. Tsukiko, acting swiftly, shoves Yoshi down the stairs where she's split in two by the predatory insects. Tsukiko escapes to her room, locking the door behind her, but her safety is short-lived as the gigantic Tomi head appears at her door, overpowering her. In an act of desperation, Tsukiko arms herself with her camera and starts taking pictures with the flashlight on. This forces the gigantic head to retreat from her room. Once she feels safer, Tsukiko descends the stairs, confronting the massive Tomi head. She confesses that she's the only one who truly needs Tomi because everyone she cared for has betrayed her. This moment marks a heartbreaking agreement between Tsukiko and Tomi, as Tsukiko willingly allows herself to be consumed by the Tomi-faced centipedes, choosing to be one with Tomi. In the next scene, Tsukiko steps out of the house and we see a startling transformation. She too has become another version of Tomi. She goes around the area, her eyes taking in the sight of another woman she passes by, a shocking number of them also appearing to be Tomi. It's as if Tomi's presence has somehow multiplied, casting a dark, eerie spell over the whole place. Eventually, her path crosses with the adult boyfriend of Tomi, a man we'd seen earlier when the new Tomi met him. There is a moment of recognition, an unspoken understanding that passes between them, and he invites Tsukiko to go home with him. Once they're in the privacy of his home, a terrifying scene unfolds. He stabs Tsukiko's body repeatedly, an act that leaves her teetering on the edge of death. With her life slowly going away, Tsukiko drags herself towards a mirror, and what she sees is chilling. Instead of her own reflection, she sees Tomi's face staring back at her. It's an odd and shocking sight, a stark reminder of the nightmare she's living. The movie wraps up with a chilling scene, the two sisters, Tsukiko and Tomi, looking at each other in the mirror. Despite the pain and impending death, they burst into hysterical laughter. It's a haunting image that echoes long after Tsukiko breathes her last, concluding this horror-filled roller coaster. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll see you in the next video.